England are shit. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Football, and that's going to be the topic of today's little video. The fact that England are shit, the fact that they are the most overrated, overhyped national team of all time. Every single competition, every single year, they get talked up. They get bigged up as the favourites, as a potential winner of a tournament, and it never happens. And there's a reason why it never happens. That reason is because they're not good enough. But the media, presenters, English people themselves will tell you that's not the case. They'll say that they've got the best players. They'll say they've got the best team. If they had the best players, if they had the best team, they would have won another trophy by now. They wouldn't have to talk about 1966 every single time. So, with that said, Gareth Southgate at the moment is currently conflicted. He is deciding whether he stays on or whether he steps down as England manager. Now, I will say there's a few people out there, I've seen a few people criticise Southgate and say that he should be doing better with this group of players and that he should go and that he is wasting this group of players, and I agree. However, you get people also praising Southgate, saying that he's doing such a good job. But at the same time, these people also brag about the fact that England at the moment apparently have the best crop of young players in the world. So, I mean, you can't have it both ways. Surely, if England have the best crop of young players, then Southgate's results with this group of players ain't good enough. If they have the best team, if England have the best team, then there's no way that you can argue semi-finals, quarter-finals, and a Euros final is good enough if you've got the best team by far. And they don't have the best team by far. Their team is extremely fucking overrated. But we're going to have a quick look here at their results in the last three major competitions. Now, there is a stat, I believe it was England since 1970 up until 2016, where I believe Roy Hodgson was the manager at the time. He stepped down after the defeat to Iceland. But from 1970 to 2016, this ain't my stat. They said this on BBC Radio after England lost to France. But they said that England under Gareth Southgate have won 6 knockout ties in the 3 major competitions where he's managed as, whereas from 1970 all the way to 2016, England only won 6 knockout ties in that period. So already Southgate in the space of 3 tournaments has equalled what it took England 46 years to do. Now, if that's true, then it tells me that England fucking failed from 1970 to 2016. And that's a group of players that had, in the 90s, they had their beloved Terry Butchers, Paul Gascoignes, Gary Linekers. In the 2000s, they had their golden generation, so-called, with Beckham, Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes, Rio Ferdinand, Terry, Rooney, Owen. So they've had, according to the English, they've had some great sides over the years, yet they've only won 6 knockout games in 46 years. That's a fucking horrendous stat, man, no matter what way you look at it. Now, people will praise Southgate for equaling that in 3 competitions. But I want to look at the competition. So we'll first start with his first competition in charge, the 2018 FIFA World Cup. England were in Group G alongside Belgium, Tunisia and Panama. Let's look at the results. So against Tunisia, they needed a last-minute winner, a last-minute Harry Kane 91st minute goal to give them the win over Tunisia, or else they would have dropped points in their opening game. Then they went on to beat Panama 6-1. Everyone beats Panama. Let's be honest, Panama are shit. England win 6-1. The fact they conceded a goal, a little bit embarrassing, in my opinion. And then they went on and they lost to Belgium. And this Belgium team, albeit back in 2018, probably close to the strongest Belgium have ever been. So I'm not going to give them shit for losing to Belgium, but there is a particular trend you will notice here. When it comes to beating top teams, England don't do it, unless, of course, that top team is going through a bad spell, which England have. They've defeated Germany, but we all know that Germany have been pretty much shit since they won the 2014 World Cup. So there you go. England, they won 2 games. I mean, but are we going to give them credit for beating Panama? And it was a last-minute winner against Tunisia. Then I lost to Belgium. It's hardly the most impressive thing is it? When you look at it, when you break it down, for a so-called great generation of players, I wouldn't say beating Tunisia in the last minute is a great result. Then they move on to the knockout rounds, and again they got Colombia. They managed to sneak past Colombia in penalties, so a draw against Colombia and managing to go through in penalties. Normally England lose in penalties. On this occasion they were successful, but at the same time, I mean, is that impressive? In my opinion, not really. Then they beat a Sweden side, which, if we're being honest, I mean, Sweden shouldn't have been in the quarterfinals. Sweden shouldn't have got this far. They only got this far because they had Germany in the group, and Germany are fucking shite. Plus, they beat Switzerland in the last 16. So, I mean, England were very fortunate to get to the quarterfinals and be taking on a Sweden. They beat Sweden, and then they lost to Croatia after being 1-0 up in that game. They lost in extra time. But, I mean, if you look at the draw into the quarterfinals, England only had to beat Sweden, Croatia and Russia to get into the final, and they couldn't do it. I like Croatia. I'm a big fan of Croatia. I've always supported Croatia. They're like my second or third national team that I enjoy watching. But at the end of the day, they're not considered a top team. They're considered like a team that is just below top, but they're not considered like a European powerhouse. So England should have beaten them on paper, but they didn't. So there you go. There's your 2018. Is that really that impressive? Losing to Belgium. Sneaking a last-minute winner against Tunisia. Okay, you beat Panama 6-1. Big wow, who cares? Getting past Colombia on penalties. Beating a poor Sweden side that didn't belong in the quarterfinals. And then losing on penalties to Croatia. Is that impressive? For me, I don't think so. Then we move on to the Euro 2020. Again, got Croatia, a team that they should have beat, in my opinion, in the World Cup. They got them in the group stage, and this was one of the worst games you'll ever see. Croatia did not turn up. It was a fucking horrendous performance from Croatia. I've never seen Croatia play so bad, and England could only get a 1-0 win. And if I remember, it was a long-range strike from Sterling that I think the keeper should have saved. So again, 1-0. When Croatia have their worst ever performance, doesn't really impress me much. Then we outplayed England. Second game, yes, Scotland. We should have beat them. We were the better team in that game. We tested Joe Hart or whoever was in nets. Pickford. I can't even remember who was it. Was it Pickford, Joe Hart? I can't remember. But still, we tested them a lot. I'm pretty sure it was Pickford. We weren't all over them, but we were the better side. Undoubtedly, we were the better team in that game. We just couldn't score. England pretty much offered nothing. Harry Kane done absolutely hee-haw against Grant Hanley. So, yeah, they couldn't beat us. Let's be real, and we sucked in this Euros. We did not perform. Then in the last game of the group, they beat Czech Republic 1-0. So look at it. They scored 2 goals in 3 group stage games against teams that, on paper, they are all far superior than. So how's that impressive? Yeah, it's 7 points out of 9. It looks decent. If you just say, 2 wins and a draw, that looks good. But when you consider that the draw against us, they were lucky to get a draw, and then Croatia had their worst game ever, and then Czech Republic, weren't even that good. So, it is what it is. But England get through in that. Doesn't really do a lot for me. Didn't impress me. Then we do know they got to the final. But again, if we break it down, they beat Germany. And like I said, Germany... Ever since Germany won the World Cup, they've turned super woke. They're bringing politics into football, and they've just sucked. They have sucked, man. They're not the team they used to be. If Germany played England tomorrow, I would have no faith in Germany beating England. It sucks, but at a national level, I mean, Germany just aren't that good anymore. Bayern Munich are great, but Germany are not. So that didn't really surprise me. Then England take on Ukraine. This was, I believe, 0-0. At half-time. Second half, England scored like 3... it was 1-0 at half-time, and then England scored 3 goals in the space of like 6 minutes. But if we're being honest, at 1-0, there wasn't a lot in the game. England killed it off, and they won 4-0. I'm not going to sit here and say it's a shit result, but again, it's against Ukraine. It wasn't that impressive. And then they took on Denmark in the semis. It took extra time to beat Denmark. They scored their winner when Denmark were down to 10 men due to an injury. I believe the Danish player wasn't allowed to come back on in time. England scored the goal, if my memory serves me correctly. And while Denmark are a good side, especially back in the Euros, They were playing good stuff, there's no doubt about it. Again, they're kind of similar to Croatia, where they're a good side, but they're not a top side. So is England really beating Denmark? Is that really impressive here? Wins over Denmark, Ukraine, and a fucking shambolic Germany side. And then they go and take on an Italy side in the final that, in my opinion, wasn't a great Italy side. I mean, I looked at that Italian side, man, and there was... I looked at the players and I'm thinking, there wasn't that many good players in there. I was going into the final thinking, God damn it, man. I don't have much faith in this Italy team stopping England from winning the Euros. I think Chiesa was the best player Italy had in the tournament. But, I mean, still, you look at this Italian side, they haven't qualified for the last 2 World Cups, and the reason for that is they're not that good. You know, they're kind of similar to Germany, like, they're just not as good as they used to be. But they were good enough to beat England. So again, was this a good tournament for England? I know that sounds crazy, me suggesting it wasn't, but if you look at it, if you break it down, they got to the final, but you'd expect them to get to the final. Did they get to the final playing good football? Did they get to the final being impressive? In my opinion, no. And then they took on probably... I would actually say the worst Italian team of our generation, of any generation. I don't remember the Italians being this bad. So, it is what it is. England get to the final, they don't win it, and then we move on to this World Cup. Alright, they beat Iran 6-2. They beat Wales, a couple of goals in a couple of minutes, killed that game off. Up until that moment, I thought that there was nothing in it, really. I don't think England looked impressive. And then the game against the United States was a horrendous game. They created nothing. A shit snorefest 0-0. That game done absolutely hee-haw for me either. And then we move into the knockout stages, and yeah, they beat Senegal, but again, Senegal were the better team in the opening 35 minutes. I think Senegal should have had a penalty. And then England, in the second half, Senegal didn't really turn up. Plus, when England got that second goal just before half-time, that killed off the game, and the time was up. You know, they played too much time, so they shouldn't even have been 2-0 up at the break. So they beat Senegal, but again, it was a Senegal with Sadio Mane. It wasn't a full-strength Senegal, and even if it was a full-strength Senegal, Senegal's not that good. So, beating Senegal doesn't really impress me. And then, of course, their journey ends against France, and we all know what happened in that game. 2-1 France, and... that, to me, that's not impressive. You know, they're going to say that Gareth Southgate's doing a good job, this England team's great. I broke down the last 3 major tournaments, and for me, I don't think they've done anything impressive. I'm looking at Scotland. If Scotland done exactly what England done in this World Cup, this current World Cup, and got to the quarters, I would have been happy, because honestly, let's be real, Scotland have never got out the group stage in a major tournament, so I'm not denying that. I would have been over the moon, but looking at it, I don't think Scotland would have done anything. I don't think we would have overachieved. I don't think us topping the group that England were in, and I don't think Scotland beating Senegal in the last 16, I don't think that is overachieving for Scotland. So for England to do this, and for all these pundits and players and presenters to be like, you know, marking out, I think it's kind of sad. How many times do you see like articles about England having the most valuable players in the world? You know, oh, you add up the England squad, we're worth 3 million more than the second best team, and shit like this. Yet they're happy to lose in the quarterfinals against France after, you know, basically crawling to the quarterfinals. Man, it's sad. It is sad. I mean, England, all they do is overhype themselves, overrate themselves. They big themselves up every tournament, and they set themselves up for failure. And as a Scotland fan, I love it. Hopefully next time, though, we're actually in the Euro 2024. I think we will be. It's pretty much... I think it's hard. I think for teams like Scotland now, it's actually harder not to qualify, because they've expanded it to 24 teams, and if you can't qualify for the Euros now, you're a bad side. It's as simple as that. So I'm predicting Scotland will qualify. Anyway, guys, I'm going to end this here. Just my thoughts on England being absolutely shit. So let me know what you guys think down below. I'll catch you in the next one. Till next time, though. Peace.